Welcome on into the First Round Fantasy Podcast, your home for second round advice. I'm Gabriel Montes, joined today by Jacob Bartley. Jacob Bartley, how are we doing today, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's exciting times. We got the Super Bowl on Sunday. I don't know if you've been watching WandaVision. That show's awesome. So
I have
good stuff to watch.
I have not seen WandaVision yet. I'll have to give it a peek.
I'm envious because it's better if you could binge the first 4 episodes together. So you're good.
I've heard the first few start pretty slow. So maybe a binge worthy is coming. A binge is coming.
Yes.
With that being said, we are the First Round Fantasy team. We're missing people in action today. Justin Morsaz, Damon Ricks, they are out in the cuts today. We'll be sure to have them back next week. But we got a few talking points today, and we're going to get right into it. Our reaction to the trade we didn't really see coming, and that is Matthew Stafford traded to the Los Angeles Rams for Jared Goff and a couple of first-round picks and a couple of third-round picks. Immediate reaction, I could honestly say neither of us were suspecting that. We did a speculation episode just a week prior, and he wasn't on. Los Angeles was not on our radar.
I heard later on, like after we shot our podcast, I heard the Rams were involved. They were trying to get him, and honestly, I heard a third of the league was trying to get him. So that's pretty crazy. A guy who he's a great quarterback, but he hasn't been a winning quarterback. He has, if I recall, he had one great season record-wise where they were like in first place. I think they were 12-4 one year, and they've had a couple winning seasons, but overall, like I think his win-loss record is not in his favor. So to a guy who's very talented, but maybe not a winner yet, this is a good fit for him. I mean,
this might just be the change that he needs going to a different organization and possibly taking the hurdle. I mean, look at it. He's going to a perfect situation in the Los Angeles Rams. They have a solidified defense, one of the best in the NFL, really came on strong towards the end of the year. And, I mean, do you agree that he's an upgrade over Goff?
Yes, I do. I mean, Goff is mediocre, I mean, look, he's a way better athlete than either of us will ever be in our lives. But when it comes to comparing him to the other quarterbacks in the league, he's in the middle ground. I do believe he should be an NFL starter because I think there's starters that are worse than him starting right now. So I think it definitely is an upgrade. I think the Rams and Sean McVay, they just want to go all in.
And apparently, because 2 first picks says they are going all in.
2 first rounders and Jared Goff. And look, even though Jared Goff wasn't playing great, and he gets paid pretty well for a couple of years after this coming up, I still think he was a valuable piece because look, this guy's been to the Super Bowl. He has experience. I think, his potential is worth taking a shot at for the Lions too, so getting 2 first-round picks, a young, experienced quarterback, and the other round picks, the Lions came out big on this, I think.
Yeah, they definitely got the value, which makes it really interesting, and we don't have to talk too much about this, but we can only imagine what the market is for Watson out there now, because one of the bigger names in Stafford is now off of that market. Plug in Watson, and
Stafford is a 32-year-old quarterback who is like maybe like a third as good as Deshaun Watson is right now.
Yeah, right.
So
I will say this. It's a bold statement. But before we dig into the real gritty fantasy stuff real quick, I do think that this makes the Rams at least preseason, off-season favorites going into next year to take the NFC West.
I agree.
I just think it's that little bit that puts them over the hurdle.
Yeah, and to be honest, prior to this move, they might have been second or third. Right. I mean, if you're talking about the Niners or the Seahawks, and who knows,
tons of variables. I know that
Arizona could improve too, but I just think I still would have taken Seattle going into it before this move, If the Niners get everybody healthy, and let's say they get a healthy Jimmy Garoppolo for the whole entire season, I would maybe put them above the Rams prior to this move. But I think because if you look at the Rams, their one weakness was quarterback, and
that's true.
They improved it. They have a good run game. They have good receivers. They have a good defense. And they have a great coach. So that was the missing piece.
So I'll pause you right there. Let's look specifically at the Los Angeles Rams wide receivers. Do you see an instant benefit from this supposed, which we both agree, so we would say not take out the supposed part, but this QB upgrade, right? We have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. Robert Woods, he finished as a wide receiver 14 last year. I don't know if there's much room to move up with the elite.
I underestimate him, man.
Everyone always underestimates Robert Woods.
I never draft Robert Woods.
If you're not underestimating Robert Woods,
he goes like fifth round and beyond every year.
And then we also have Cooper Kupp, finished just outside the top 25, possibly looking to have a rebound season next season. Given the evidence that we have from Stafford and Detroit, it's not to say that he can't suffice or support two fantasy relevant wide receivers, but when you look at Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay over the years, it was very boom or bust for either of them, Golladay being the better of the two, and Marvin Jones providing those big boom bust games. I just think that the Rams offense is much more whole than Stafford has ever had as a Lions QB. So I think that puts him in a better situation, in terms of the real NFL. But as far as fantasy is concerned, we might not be seeing him throw the ball 40 times, 50 times like Goff was last season, especially with the emergence of Cam Akers towards the end of the last season in that running back community who they lean so heavily on.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I think they did start leaning on the run game a lot, and I think that's because they didn't trust their quarterback situation. So I think that Stafford coming in, I think Sean McVay is going to trust him more and let him sling it a little bit more. So I think that you're right. How much higher do we expect Robert Woods than 14? Going into next year, we're not even. I doubt we're even going to be ranking him in the top 20. So if he reaches 14 again next year, that would be amazing, right? For Cooper Kupp, I think it's possible. Remember 2 years ago when Cooper Kupp was killing it at the beginning of the year? I think it's possible for Cooper Kupp to leapfrog Robert Woods as the number one receiver on that team, just because, and it's still arguable who the number one receiver is, but I mean, obviously Robert Woods produces more stats.
He's more consistent.
Yeah, more consistently, but then Cooper Kupp, we see him have these 40-point games. I think it's good for both receivers. It could keep Robert Woods where he is. I think it could elevate Cooper Kupp. I believe so. They have two tight ends, Tyler Higbee, and I'm freezing on the other one's name. Gerald Everett. I believe Gerald Everett is a free agent. So I think he's gonna sign somewhere else, and I think Tyler Higbee is gonna be the guy who they probably bring in another one. There's a reason why they use two tight ends so often. It's just part of his offense. But I do like Tyler Higbee because we saw how TJ Hawkinson was used in Detroit. So I like Tyler Higbee going into next year. I think if you're looking at Cam Akers, I believe this just opens up the run game more. So I think it's either like neutral or better for all of these players.
Is it too soon to maybe have our first book it down of the 2021 season? No, because the 2020 season isn't even over yet.
It is. But what would that have been?
We both agree that Stafford is an upgrade, but can he support a top 12 wide receiver in either Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp? Cooper Kupp has finished inside the top 10 before, and we've seen from Robert Woods, he's finished top 15.
Let's revisit that when we do beginning season stuff for next year.
I'll write it down. I'll bring it up later. It'll be good. Let's look at the other side of that trade. Jared Goff finds himself into Detroit. So many cruel memes. I've seen ones that they've sent him to the Night's Watch. they think that this is Jared Goff's kind of put him out to pasture type of move. But it's very likely that we could see a resurgence. Everybody just needs a change in pace. And it was 2 years removed from one of the biggest quarterback contracts, since Mahomes and Deshaun Watson just last offseason. So he was putting up great numbers and supporting very fantasy relevant players. But, it goes to show what a year in the football universe will do to a man when you perform poorly. He finds himself in Detroit, likely going to be the starter unless Detroit does something in the draft with those couple of first-round picks they have. But he seems to be destined to be that QB to start next season. Are you juicing? I mean, there's a lot of variables changing in Detroit. Kenny Galladay is a free agent. Marvin Jones is a free agent. They have DeAndre Swift. They have a new head coach. Too many variables. For me, I'm keeping my head out of it for right now until we get to the primetime offseason, preseason stuff. But initial reaction, I think you mentioned he's maybe not a top 20 quarterback. What are your thoughts?
Look, Jared Goff was the number 1 overall pick, right? We've seen those not work out, obviously. Look at Josh Rosen. And before McVay got there, a lot of people were calling Jared Goff a bust. But there's a reason why he was number 1 overall pick. He's obviously talented. That year where the Rams first emerged with this amazing offense. Remember that? I think it was a Thursday night game or a Monday night game where they went head-to-head with the Chiefs? And it was like it
was a Monday night game.
45-44 or something like that. And the Rams won. Jared Goff won that game. And I think his potential is reachable again. But I think it might take a while. I believe he's only 25. If I was the Lions coach or the Lions GM, owner, whatever the case is, I would, because you have to show confidence in your quarterback. I would just go all in and say, Jared Goff is our guy. We brought him over here for a reason. He's a Super Bowl level quarterback, and we believe that he's our man. I would because what do you have? If he doesn't do it, whatever. But
2 first-round picks, right?
You want him going into this feeling confident and feeling good because that's only going to help his mindset. So I think they should make Jared Goff their guy. Go all in. I don't know if they're going to re-sign Kenny Galladay. We'll have that discussion on another show. But you look at this team, who's he going to be thrown to? Even Marvin Jones is a free agent. Mm-hmm. So it might be a complete rebuild.
It's 100% a complete rebuild, yeah.
But I think, look, TJ Hawkinson is going into his 3rd season. DeAndre Swift. Is Hawkinson's 2nd season or
Hawkinson's
3rd season? DeAndre Swift going into his 2nd season. I think those are your offensive building blocks. TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift, now Jared Goff. And I think Hawkinson honestly goes – if Galladay and Marvin Jones walk, I think Hawkinson – he was already a top 5 tight end, I believe, at least for most of the season. I think he stays in the top 5. I think Swift is going to do well with this. And I don't think we're going to be starting Jared Goff on our fantasy teams outside of Superflex. But – I don't know. If I was him, I'm glad I'm out of there because I don't want to feel unwanted, Like that's the thing. So
yeah, that's true.
Especially people are exaggerating like, oh, Goff is terrible. I don't think he's that bad.
Yeah, neither do I. I mean, like I said, he deserved and earned a prime time, pretty hefty contract just 2 years ago. So obviously the Rams thought they had seen something in him. That's just not the case anymore. They've shipped him out. That's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But with what everything is this offseason, it's just kind of we'll wait and see. You got our initial reactions. We'll stay tuned to see what happens next. See what happens with Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones. Who do the Lions bring in? Tons of moving parts in Detroit. And, of course, Los Angeles. They're still going to have to contend with a healthy 49ers defense, Russell Wilson, and the emergence of Kyler Murray in the NFC West. So that's going to be another exciting division year after year for the next, 4 or 5 years. It's going to be exciting to watch. One more thing before we move on to our next little piece. Jimmy G, percentage-wise, what do you have him percentage-wise staying in San Francisco next season? Does Jimmy Garoppolo stay in San Francisco quarterbacking the 49ers next season, or do you see him out the door this offseason? Do the Niners make a trade?
I would say it's 40-60. 40% staying, 60% leaving. We know that there are reports that the Niners were heavily involved in trying to get Stafford. And they're damn fools if they're not trying to get Deshaun Watson if he's available. So I think look, when you're a team like the Rams, like the Niners, when you are Super Bowl contenders, you have to mediocrity is not acceptable. So you have to, and look, Jimmy G's just right there with Goff, like a mediocre quarterback. And they both went to the Super Bowl because they had a great coach, great teams around them.
Yep.
So you don't necessarily need the best quarterback to get to the Super Bowl, but maybe you need the best quarterback to win the Super Bowl. And I say in the matchup with the opposition. So I think he's likely out of there because I believe they can cut him without much harm to the cap as well. But
sad days.
I don't think they just cut him and start the backups.
Mullins or something like that.
Yeah. Nick Mullins or CJ Beathard. I don't think they cut him and start one of the backups. I think if they can't upgrade, they're going to hold on to him. But I think it's a 40-60 thing.
Yeah. Well, I won't take much of your time because I agree with you, Jacob. I agree with you. Let's get into it. Obviously, you mentioned at the beginning of the spot, we got a big game coming up. It's the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the returning champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. We're just going to give you our picks. Hopefully, you have them too. I also have a little bit of surprise. So we're going to do that in just a second. Before we get into our picks, hey, guess what? We have other members, and they wanted to give their input as well. Joseph Morsales, he is not here today. He is going with the Kansas City Chiefs. Congratulations to you, Joe. You see things in the young man Mahomes. DeMont Ricks, not only did he pick the Chiefs, he picks the Chiefs by a 13-point spread. So congratulations to DeMont Ricks. Justin, I imagine he's also going Kansas City. I do not speak for him, though. With that being said, Jacob, give us a little bit of insight about the matchup. You know, we got these two top 12 defenses this year. Tampa Bay very strong in the playoffs so far, though. But they're going up against Patrick Mahomes and that dynamic, explosive offense. What happens? What does your I don't know what I'm doing. Magic 8 ball see? Jacob, what is your take?
The Chiefs look unstoppable. I don't know, especially just a regular season game, right? They roll over everybody. I know the Raiders beat them this year, which was a great game. I think that was their only loss, right? Or did they lose week 17 as well when nobody was playing? I'm not sure. But either way, it's like are they really trying at their full potential every season game? Probably not. So imagine all that effort going into a Super Bowl or a playoff matchup. Look, my head says to pick the Chiefs, but I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. And look, I just don't, and I know Tom Brady doesn't play every play or even coach the team, but I just think his winning culture, winning attitude has just spread among the whole entire team. And he knows what to tell these guys. Like, I don't know if you heard, but one of the players was crying in the locker room because they made it to the Super Bowl. And Brady said, "Why the F are you crying? We have more work to do. We're not done." And I'm like, damn, he's probably talking to everybody and saying, like, play every possession like it's the last possession that you're going to play, like the most important possession you're going to play. And I think they're going to find a way to pull it out. So look, the Chiefs are the Golden State Warriors dynasty from a few years ago. And this Bucks team is that Cavs team that beat them the year before they added Durant. Because after you add Durant, it's like unstoppable. But I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. Everybody chose the Chiefs.
There it goes. Jacob, I am going to agree with you. Listen, this is the first time in NFL history that a Super Bowl is being held in the stadium from which the
That's
team
very
that is
true.
playing.
Yeah.
Not only that, you have Tom Brady, who I got into a very brutally honest conversation with a Twitter fellow just the other day. Yes, I understand Tom Brady may not be the best quarterback of all time, but he manages the game very, very well. And the Buccaneers defense, they're going to break. But I think they're going to be strong at moments when they need to stop Mahomes. And I just see Tom Brady getting that 7th ring, and I can't believe it.
Crazy.
But how unreal would it be to say that you lived in a generation where you saw a quarterback in the NFL
win 7? I know. And it's like happening right in front of our eyes. We like grew up with it. It's crazy. So I think that like this game is so big. It goes beyond just this Super Bowl because look at this. Tom Brady he's universally like recognized as the greatest player to ever play the sport. Well, I mean, as far as accomplishments go and winning championships, things like that. A lot of people have predict that like one day Patrick Mahomes might surpass him as that. And maybe he doesn't have to win 6 or 7 to do that. Maybe he just wins 5, but like his overall resume is just better. But if Tom Brady wins, he has 7, Patrick Mahomes has 1. If the Bucs lose, Patrick Mahomes has 2 and Brady has 6. Patrick Mahomes is way closer 7-1 or 6-2. He's way closer in legacy if he wins this game. So Brady's fighting for his legacy as well.
Fighting for his legacy. The man says he could play till he's 45. We'll see how Sunday goes. But that's a conversation for another day because it was a really good one that I had on Twitter the other day, but we'll bring it up on another show later on. But before we get out of here, to make things a little bit zesty for our few and loyal listeners, by the way, if you're new to the show today, thank you so much for coming. I got a little idea. I want to hear your predictions, and I'll tell you how it's going to happen. If you're interested, and I say a mere, I don't know, let's say a $10 gift card to a place of your choice. If you are willing to, you can make your call in the comments down below. And the winner, or I should say, if your pick, say if you pick the Buccaneers and you call them on the comment section and they win the Super Bowl, every person who picked the Buccaneers who commented will be put into a random draw. We will pick that winner, and you will get a $10 gift card. I know, hey, it's a pandemic, baby. $10 goes a long way these days.
And all you have to do is make a Super Bowl prediction.
All you got to do is make a Super Bowl pick. So we'll be advertising it for the next day or two. Well, obviously, you're hearing this Saturday morning, but I think it'll be exciting. I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. Let's get a conversation going in the comments down below. And with that being said, Jacob Bartley, we just got to sit back and watch what happens, baby. This is the finale of the 2021 season.
Can't wait.
Season ended quite a few weeks ago, but we are so happy that you stuck it out with us in the offseason.
And look, these playoff games tell us things about fantasy too.
Of course.
Like, I know he was killing it at the end of the year, but Mike Evans now, his stock has risen so much in the past 6 weeks. It's crazy. So it matters.
Everything matters in the NFL football season. But with that being said, we hope you have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Enjoy the game, eat some food, and relax. And I hope your team wins, unless it's the Chiefs, because I don't want them to win. It's just the way the cookie crumbles around here. I am Gabe Romero-Montes. This is Jacob Bartley. We are out of here. Have a great rest of your weekend. Peace.